Hello and greetings to all. The purpose of this video is to discuss the topic of cultural appropriation. Now, in my own words, cultural appropriation refers to whenever we misuse the elements of another's culture by appropriating them and utilize them to suit whatever it is that we're experiencing at the present moment. Now, we're seeing a rise in the mention of cultural appropriation due to the fact that a lot of people are breaking away from organized religion and venturing into spiritual paths would deviate from Christianity per se. Now, in my opinion, I think it's great that people have managed to break away from the mental slavery of having to worship a certain way or having to worship a certain deity as a result of colonization. However, in our own path towards spiritual enlightenment and whatnot, we must tread carefully to not appropriate practices from others' cultures. Just because we saw it on a TikTok video, we read about it in the book, and we think it's cool, we want to go ahead and incorporate that into our spirituality. However, we're violating the cultures, the respective cultures that these practices belong to. Now, recently, and I do not intend to mention this out of any facetiousness or to make fun, but recently, as of February, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a young Caucasian girl, endeavored to hex her girlfriend by summoning a deity from the Haitian voodoo tradition. I'm not going to mention the deity again out of respect for this culture. In doing so, there's a series of posts in which her spiritual dishevelment is clear. And it is also clear to see that she lost control of the situation. Now, regardless of whether you believe in the supernatural and the spiritual or not, this is not what's up for debate at this point. What's up for debate is that certain times our mind may create certain circumstances that in time take on a life of their own and consume our lives entirely. Therefore, again, the reason for me mentioning this unfortunate event is to, in a drastic way, illustrate the dangers even of cultural appropriation. Now, I've mentioned before, particularly in my book, Reconstructing a Brown Identity, that I at one point did commit the serious transgression of cultural appropriation when I first began to embrace my indigenous roots. I had dream catchers, I had all these emblems that I would purchase at flea markets, indigenous community, cultural centers, powwows, and whatnot. And not until I actually took the time to investigate it and learn about what these emblems meant to certain people did I actually overcome, culturally appropriating. Now, it is perfectly fine to appreciate, because even as indigenous peoples, once we find out our true heritage from within the spectrum of indigeneity that I've mentioned before, we'll see that not everybody used dream catchers. Not everybody used sage. Not everybody used the practices that we normally associate with being Native American. For instance, dream catchers are sacred to Ojibwas. Yet, we can see them at a Cherokee powwow, at the Gathering of Nations. So oftentimes, we as indigenous people contribute to cultural appropriation by not respecting other indigenous groups. I have been to many a powwow in which, there's people selling artifacts and all types of crafts from other nations without really taking the time to educate whoever's purchasing them that they ought to exercise a degree of discretion whenever purchasing these products. I'm also going to do yet another series that discusses cultural appropriation, particularly toward brown indigenous peoples, not only of the Americas, but worldwide. So with this, I end this video. Please look into how to not culturally misappropriate certain elements of others' cultures, and blessings to all.